Marketing can involve volumes of outlets. I mean, ads can pop up almost anywhere, very well up to the point where it gets on one's nerves. Almost like how this video is promoting the development web app. However, we are going to try to skip over some more frowned upon advertising methods, not just for ethical reasons, but also because they may not be that useful at the small scale that entrepreneurs initially operate at. For example, we are going to skip generic sales promotions, which can involve things like using discounts to boost sales. These discounts can work in large grocery stores where the prices are generally known. But for startups, using discounts can create the impression that the discounted rate is actually the real rate and that the discount is simply used as a threat to pressure customers. Additionally, we are going to skip traditional advertising with high upfront costs, such as billboards or sponsorships. These, in addition to sometimes annoying customers, might not be financially feasible. This video is primarily going to look at personal selling. From my experience, personal selling used to be the default marketing strategy back in the day before social media. While it's not as popular as it once was, and while it is sometimes used in a way that gets on consumers' nerves, I believe that it still holds relevance, especially for entrepreneurs. Personal selling involves directly contacting or interacting with customers on a one-on-one basis. This could involve anything from sending an email to a potential customer or talking to someone in person, for example, at a convention. Personal selling is best suited for when consumers are uncertain about a product and may therefore have questions. This is often the case for the new ideas pitched by entrepreneurs, where the client needs to be convinced to use an unknown product. Uncertainty can also arise from high switching costs. Switching costs involve any cost incurred by a consumer due to switching from one product to another. This cost includes the cost or value of any effort or inconvenience involved, so it's not just monetary. For example, if a product is a record-keeping tool where the user can track various metrics, such as the productivity web app, Then, even if the product is relatively cheap, the user is making a significant time investment by recording all their data on the application. If something were to go wrong, the user risks wasting all the time that they spent recording their data. Therefore, for such a product, there's a lot of uncertainty that could block a sale from taking place. This uncertainty can, however, be addressed through personal selling. Being able to interact with the person who built the product can give assurance to a potential user. This assurance can give the user the confidence to sign up instead of choosing a more commonly used but potentially less suited alternative. Personal selling is also often used where there are high upfront costs. When clients must make a significant upfront payment for an expensive product, they tend to spend more effort considering alternatives. In this case, clients may appreciate personalized sales advice. A generic example of this might be a car dealership, since cars are expensive items. In this context, consumers may want to talk to a dealer before making a purchase. From the business's perspective, both in the short and long term, the higher the profit per customer is, the easier it is to justify the hours spent interacting with the customer. While entrepreneurs tend to be seen as innovators and risk takers, one has to remember that this isn't always the case for clients. Many clients are very risk adverse, and thus, regardless of how good or reliable a new product is, a very large percentage of clients may simply refuse to try it because they do not trust the product. A quick way to build this trust can be through a personal conversation. A conversation alone is, however, not enough. During the conversation, the entrepreneur needs to be able to explain the value of the product, clearly respond to concerns from the client, and provide reasonable supporting evidence for all claims. This isn't easy to do, but if done, the client can be reasonably certain that the risk of using the product will be minimal. Personal selling does not have to be a zero-sum game, where the only focus is on getting a sale. Instead, it could be an honest discussion about the product to determine whether it is suitable for the client. Even for products with a low profit per sale, where personal selling might not be financially viable in the long run, personal selling can still be extremely useful in the short term. This is because personal selling can help in getting the first few customers who could provide feedback about the product. When using personal selling, you inherently have communication channels with customers. This boosts communication because if the customer has communicated with you before, they are more likely to notify you of any issues that they experience, instead of just leaving the platform or switching to an alternative product. In the early stages, the company may run at a loss. However, the feedback gained can be used to improve the product and to build up a stable track record. This could increase the effectiveness of future, less personal advertising campaigns. In terms of social media, instead of being an alternative, it can be seen as complementing personal selling. Where personal selling may provide the kickstart that a company needs to get started, social media can give a company room to scale. Additionally, even in the earliest stages of a startup, social media posts can increase conversion rates. For example, if content serves as an informative resource that can be shown to clients. To continue the productivity web app example, if I were to talk to someone who may benefit from using a record-keeping tool, I would need to convince this potential customer that my product is any good. This conversation could be made a lot easier if I could simply redirect the customer to my social media page, which shows a carefully curated feed of reasons why my product could be useful. Alright, so now that I've already set up this environment, I might as well add a little more to it. First, I'm going to create a users table to store the login details. Then I'm going to quickly add a blog page, and then finally I'm going to enforce authentication to access this blog.